Lawful Good often gets a bad rap as an alignment. Partially that's because of the old paladin, I detect evil! But that's not a thing in 5th edition or Pathfinder 2nd edition. It doesn't do that for characters anymore. It doesn't have to be a paladin, it can be anyone with that alignment, because they have a strict code and they have a strict set of moral principles that can become an issue for other members of the table. Because everybody knows that as soon as you release that goblin, it's going to try to stab you in the back eventually. So why don't we just get rid of it now? Why are you making this a thing? I'm James, and this is another in a series of videos exploring problematic alignments at tables and how we can make them interesting for our players, whether it's a player that's playing the Lawful Good alignment or the rest of them at the table. For some players and some dungeon masters, they prefer not to think about alignment at the beginning, if at all. They prefer to play the character, and then based on the character's actions, I will describe that using an alignment if I bother to do it at all. But for me, I like to build a character from the ground up and then figure out who they are. What is their worldview? How do they see their place in here? How do they think that they're supposed to behave? Their morals and their ethics. And then from there, once I understand that, I can start to fill in the rest of things. How do they feel about organized religion? How do they feel about laws in their society? How do they feel about their particular ruler? How do they feel about dealing with creatures that have different worldviews than their own? It's like writing to me. Some writers love to use outlines. They use it everywhere, all the time, all the things. Some writers absolutely hate it. Most authors fall somewhere in the middle. We use outlines some places and sometimes, but not everywhere or all the time. I've got a whole world to run filled with a lot of NPCs, and I need to figure out where all these adventurers go after they die, so alignment's important to me. The current 5th edition handbook says that lawful good characters can be counted on to do the right thing as expected by society. What society? Where? Let's imagine that in your world, elves did some ancient magic that went horribly wrong, and as a result, on their 200th birthday, they will undergo some sort of hideous metamorphosis into a demon. The rest of the goodly races, humans, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, all these folk, have gotten together and decided, for the good of the world, the elves have got to go. We have to exterminate them wherever we find them. Is that a good thing? No! That's called genocide. But it is the right thing as expected by their society. So we need a different definition. Let's break this into its constituent parts, lawful side and the good side. We're going to start with the lawful side first. Lawful is not necessarily good. It's often conflated in fiction because we're human beings and we need a society to survive, or else we'd be eaten by any lion, tiger, or bear that happen to find us. So we naturally kind of think of, other people in societies, good things to have. But not necessarily. You could have a lawful evil society, a military dictatorship, like I portray my devils. So lawful good character is about order. They need structure. They need something that is external that gives them meaning and purpose to their life. That could be a religious doctrine. It could be some code of behavior, like chivalry, bushido, or the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
It could be just a sense of discipline from military training. Whatever it is, that gives them a sense of their purpose and their place in the universe, in the world. How far they need that order to extend out from themselves and whether they need others to obey the same order or not is where you get into the scope of the lawful good or the lawful evil of the creature. Good is selfless and compassionate. A good character does good acts because someone else's well-being is at stake. They can have selfish needs, wants, desires. They can have time for themselves and go, look, you can handle this. I gotta go take care of this for me. That's fine, but when someone else's well-being is at stake, they're going to have to balance that and go, but yes, I want this thing, but this person is in trouble. I gotta go do that. I gotta help them. An evil character can help other people because the evil character's sense of self has expanded to include them. They have a personal stake in the other person's well-being. This person is a loved one, and if they die, I would feel bad. And I don't want that member of the party to die, so I will help them, so I don't feel bad. But you, stranger over there, I have no personal stake in you. I don't know you. And so I don't really care if you get hurt. I might be the one doing the hurt for my own personal interest. Whereas a good character does not need to have that personal stake in someone else to feel compassion for them. They don't see others as the other. They see them as human beings, and when they're suffering, that bothers some part of their moral code, and they need to go help them. So we smush those two together. We have a lawful good character who has a code of behavior, and that code of behavior gives them meaning and order to their life. But they don't necessarily require others to follow the same code. They might extol the virtues of that code and their way of life to other people, but they don't require them to follow the same for them to feel compassion and want to help others when they are in trouble. When their well-being is at stake, something in that code requires this character to go act and to help. When I'm describing lawful good to my players, there's a couple examples that I like to use. My current favorite is Geralt from Season 1 of The Witcher. Yes, I can hear you typing. Wait for it. You can absolutely describe Geralt as another alignment depending on how you see lawful good. But I like to use him because he is not attached to the central authority. He is admittedly and very vehemently against taking a stance on any of the politics in the North, though he does often get dragged into them against his better judgment and kicking and screaming all the way. I think of him as a good character because he is good. He goes out of his way to help people. He will slay monsters, and yes, he takes money for doing his witching, but he will only kill things that actually are a threat to other people. Bruxa, Striga, ghouls, the drown, those kind of things. And he has a very strict moral code. Yes, he needs to be paid. Yes, he's going to kill monsters, but only if they're truly monsters. He will not kill anything that is innocent and is not a threat to other people, other creatures. He has a very strict stance on political neutrality, though, aforementioned, he does break it when he's forced to. And he has a very strict rule on evil.
Lesser, greater, middling. It's all the same.
Does he fail that sometimes? Yeah, that's how we make lawful good characters interesting. To make good characters interesting, we have to create situations and NPCs that challenge the lawful good character's sense of ethics and morality. We need to make a situation where they have to choose a greater good or to deal with a lesser evil, or at least question what it means to be lawful and good. A classic example is the trolley problem. Geralt is put in a version of the trolley problem in the very first episode of Season 1. On one hand, we have Renfri, a character that Geralt has feelings for and understands why she has a beef with Stregobor and even agrees with her beef with Stregobor. On the other hand, Renfri is going to kill everyone in Blaviken in order to get Stregobor to come out. Geralt can kill Renfri and protect people that are going to despise him, or he can let her kill everyone, which is killing innocents. He has to pick a side, and it's going to cost him either way. As dungeon masters creating our worlds, we can create kingdoms, areas where there's not explicitly a good side, there's just a difference of opinion. A period of civil war where all the petty squabbling nobles are trying to figure out who's going to be the next king. All of them have an equal claim to the throne, and the players are going to have to pick one, because if they don't, the civil war is just going to continue. They could try to stand on their own, but that's an even bigger challenge. How are you going to defend this town that you've claimed as yours against all the nobles when they decide that we could just team up, kill them, and then continue to fight each other? When someone plays a lawful good character, make their society that they belong to not explicitly lawful good. You've got a lawful good elven paladin that's proud of the elven history and traditions. The elves are at war with the humans, and they have a legitimate grievance against the human kingdom. The human kingdom is encroaching on their lands, so the elves are at war. But what happens when the elves, at war with the humans, start killing civilians in a town to wipe them out? Those are potential soldiers for the human kingdom. They could be conscripted, but they're not right now, and the people aren't responsible for the actions of their Red Queen. On a smaller scale, villains can take hostages. The hostage is restrained, if not just grappled. And the villain holds an action.
Drop your swords or the elfling dies.
What are you going to do? Try to attack this goblin when it has that held action? It's just going to slit the throat of the elfling. So we kind of have to surrender. But the rest of the characters that are not lawful good might go, I don't know that elfling. And it's likely that the goblin just kills the elfling anyway, so do we let a goblin go out into the wild? Maybe we take the chance that when we roll initiative, we get to go first before that held action. But the lawful good character probably shouldn't see it that way. They don't understand the initiative order. Clever villains can use the morals of the lawful good character against them. A tiefling assassin from the Nine Hells has been captured by the party and interrogated. The tiefling assassin is willing to give up the information in return for a promise from the lawful good monk that I will get to go free. During the night when the monk is on guard, the tiefling assassin starts talking to the monk.
Will there, monk? You know as well as I do that once this is over, your friends have no more use for me. They are the utilitarian type. I will not see another sunrise. But you hold yourself as a man of honor. Does your honor extend only when your friends agree with you? Or will you make sure that I see freedom? Will you keep your word to me?
Read the character's flaws and exploit them for the story purposes. A classic problem for a lawful good character is a gambling problem. Maybe a Thieves Guild master has information that the party needs, and they're willing to give it up if the lawful good paladin will sit down to a game of dice with the guildmaster. The guildmaster's obviously going to cheat. The paladin loses his heirloom sword. Not bad, but he didn't get the information that he wants.
That was a good game. It's a shame that you lost there, but sometimes that's how the dice fall. I wish you the best of luck in your travels. Truly, my friend. What? Another game? But you have nothing left to offer me, nothing that I want. No, I don't want your gold. I am the leader of the Black Crows, the largest thieves guild in the free Commonwealth. I practically run Storm's Rest. But now that I think about it, maybe there is something that you could offer me. A favor from a paladin of Deer. Now that's worth more than its weight in gold, isn't it? You give me your promise that you'll come when you offer, put that on the pot. And sure, I'll roll again.
And cheat again, so now the paladin owes a favor. Now the guildmaster gives the information, because what they were really after was the paladin promising that they will answer that guildmaster's call. Now there's a challenge. I gave my word. I have to fulfill my word. But whatever this guildmaster is going to ask for, it is against the paladin's code. If you have this kind of situation where you have a player playing a complex, lawful good character, but the rest of the party finds it really annoying, there's two things that have worked for me. You can try to isolate the character that's going to have these ethically complex situations. Have these conversations at the table, but in a place where the other characters are off screen, they're doing something else, they're talking to the blacksmith, they're buying magic items, and the paladin has met the guildmaster of the thieves, or everyone else is asleep, and they're talking to the tiefling assassin, and the other characters can't really interfere. The other players are still seeing it, but they're now audience members. Get it done quick, and then get back to the rest of the party and bring them back in so that it doesn't just become 30 minutes of you playing with this one character, everyone else going, why did we even bother showing up to this game? But that way, they're just seeing a scene, they get to see this one person be challenged, and often I find when you do that, the other characters might start wanting that as well. Or not. Either's cool, they advance, awesome, don't, it's fine. The other option is to talk to the player. Look, I really like your lawful good paladin, but the rest of the party is about to steal a ship, turn pirate, and plunder their Weasley black guts out. And I don't see a way in which your lawful good character, paladin, wizard, whatever, goes along with this without it being a schism in the party and eventually leaving not on good terms. So I want to work with you and create a situation where they can exit gracefully, and then you and I will create a character that is more morally gray for you to play with this adventuring group. No, it is not fair that they get to have their fun and you don't get to play the character that you wanted, but this is a band. We're playing music together, and right now they're playing Nirvana and you're playing Taylor Swift. This is going to be one hot mess of a concert. Great stories about lawful good characters don't come about when the character is never challenged. They come out when those flaws come to the surface, when they trip, when they stumble, or they completely fall. And then they recollect themselves and they come back up to be better, more virtuous characters. They triumph anyway. Or they fall and they become something else completely different. They become a death knight from a paladin because they couldn't live up to their morals. So we have to author these situations where their morals, their ethics are challenged, and they have to really figure out what it means to be lawful good, and is this character truly that? Yes, I could kill this goblin, but can I live with that? Is this worth it? Could I live with myself if they escaped and they killed an innocent anyway? That's what makes these stories interesting. If you made it this far, the things down there, the little sub button, appreciate it. Until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember you're a player too. Try to have some fun.